covert terrorist attacks. That organization, and this will be shown by documents that will be presented here, armed and trained its members with the assistance of some foreign countries, first of all Germany, the United States, Switzerland, and some Islamic countries. At the time, lists of names of banks and the numbers of bank accounts where contributions were sent for the KLA were published in Germany and Switzerland. I'm not going to go into this because I don't have enough time. According to reports in the European and the Concrete magazine from March 1999, the latest weapons were delivered to Kosovo via Albania, worth several million German marks, according to OSCE members. From a checkpoint which was on the border of Albania and Yugoslavia. Observers noticed there with surprise that members of the KLA actually were wearing German uniforms. In any case, the German intelligence service admitted that it had organized the training of Albanian terrorists in Berlin and other places, as well as the transport of Albanian terrorists. There was also help in assistance from Turkey and also from the Albanian drug mafia. This is something that is known, and we have quite reliable sources about these issues. The main tasks with the arming of these forces were given to the U.S. intelligence service in assistance with the British service. And the Scotsman says that the U.S. intelligence service got in contact with MI5 in order to train the KLA, and then MI5 or MI6 actually passed these tasks on to certain British security companies, which then in turn implemented these tasks. Then they also published the lists of weapons and so on, and I have no time to speak about that today. The most frequent targets of the KLA were police stations and military institutions, as well as the civilian population initially. Their victims were very often members of their own people, just because they were loyal citizens of Serbia. The terrorist activity was increasing from year to year. A vast number of attacks occurred. I will mention only some in the report for 1998. From January 1st until December 31st, there were 1,129 terrorist acts in which 115 members of the Ministry of Internal Affairs were killed, out of which, well, I don't want to go into any division. No, actually, 216 were killed, 115 were wounded, and 187 were lightly wounded, while a number of them were also hijacked. There were also 755 terrorist attacks and provocations directed at citizens. The figures before referred to police officers. 173 citizens were killed, out of whom 46 Serbs and Montenegrins, 77 Albanians, 3 Gypsies, 2 Muslims, and 42 unidentified persons.
As you can see, in 1998, the KLA killed more Albanians than Serbs. In that year, the terrorists abducted 292 citizens, out of which 173 Serbs and Montenegrins, 100 Albanians, 14 Roma, 1 Bulgarian, 1 Greek, and 1 Macedonian. They killed 31, 142 are missing, and 9 escaped. Then further explanations are given in terms of everything that was used: mortars, handheld rocket launchers, explosive devices, anti-tank mines, and so on and so forth. All of this happen at the time when Ibrahim Rugova claimed that the KLA is just a figment of the imagination of the Serb propaganda, that it doesn't really exist.
Ovi podaci
This information is sufficiently clear, and I wonder if any government in the world would remain passive vis-à-vis such terrorist activity. It is only understandable that the police not only had to react to terrorist attacks, but it was indispensable for it to take action in order to neutralize and combat terrorist groups in order to reestablish control. Attacks against the army is something that you know of very well, and the entire public does.
u širokom spektru
In a broad spectrum of views of different international political structures, particularly in part of the international public opinion, especially since 1998, there was this misconception that was launched on purpose of the KLA as some kind of liberation movement, which is quite unfounded. So, for example, the FAS, which is considered to be a think tank, published a report in which it says that the terrorist KLA was included among the best-known terrorist countries, terrorist organizations in the world. In addition to the FAS, the State Department is the only institution in the U.S. that deals with the question of terrorist organizations seriously. John Pike, security head of the FAS, stated that his organization carried out a detailed analysis studying the entire structure of the KLA, as opposed to the State Department, which bases its opinions on opinions only rather than such careful analysis. The tactics of the KLA consist of ambushes. Then KLA members are organized in members of 3 to 5 cells of 3 to 5 members, which is characteristic of terrorist organizations. The members of the group are visibly obsessed with their idea of secession from Yugoslavia and annexation to Albania. And they carry out orders without any protest. There are 1,000 mercenaries in the KLA from Saudi Arabia, Albania, Bosnia and Croatia, and some Western countries that I cannot go into now, and they work there as experts. Also, the camps are listed. The camps on the territory of Albania. The FAS report also states that the open long-term objective of the KLA is to unite the Albanian populations of Kosovo, Albania, and Macedonia into a greater Albania. The KLA represented a typical terrorist organization with all the accompanying characteristics. And that was the position of all the police forces of the Western countries, because they were aware of the links of this organization to drug dealers and white slave traders. Gelbard, in 1998, on the 23rd of February, stated at a press conference in Belgrade, and I quote, "We are deeply disturbed and we condemn the impermissible activity of terrorist groups in Kosovo, especially the KLA. There is no doubt that this is a terrorist group. I do not accept any kind of justification. Having worked on the subject of terrorist activity for years, I know very well how to define a terrorist group. And I base this on facts, not any kind of rhetoric. Their activities speak for themselves." End of quote. He called upon Albanian leaders to condemn terrorism and to show on which side they were, and nothing came out of this, as we all know.